Welcome back to Homework Hustle, the podcast for parents raising smart kids while retaining their sanity. I'm Shubhada, the founder of Brainology,
And I'm Sheetal, the co-founder of Brainology.
and we are here today with a very interesting topic. You know, Sheetal, what am I calling this topic? Homework versus hormones.
Oh my god.
You know, those very difficult years which parents don't know where to get answers from, and they are trying to deal with it at home. But before we get started on that one, parents, please check out our book, A Kid's Guide to Money, a bestseller on Amazon. 10 lessons on money, savings, investing, what is money, power of compounding, what is risk, everything explained through ghost
Money.
stories. Right. So, Sheetal, shall we start?
Of course.
So, Sheetal, the irony in this whole situation is that just when the academics start getting serious, grade 6, 7, 8, it's exactly at that point that hormones start acting up.
Going wild.
Yeah.
And they seem to be winning.
Yeah, that too.
So when the grades are going up, the body is also growing up. Body is saying, I want to grow faster. The brain is saying, you need to focus. But then both are not going anywhere because they're not in tandem. Right? And generally hormones are winning. And parents on top of that.
So it's a highly stressful
It
situation.
is. I don't blame the parent, I don't blame the child.
So, Sheetal, my first question, is puberty setting earlier as everybody seems to be talking about it? Is that your observation as well?
Yes, Shubha. So first there were teenage years, then there was tweens
and
then there were
preteen.
preteen, and now preteen. Once you get into double digits, or just before entering double digits, the children are already there. You see children in grade 3 and grade 4 already behaving or thinking like
Teenagers.
preteens.
Okay.
So yes, it is getting younger and younger. Now there could be many factors over here, and the very first factor obviously is what we are watching and what we are seeing and what we are consuming, whether it's food or whether it is cognitive consumption. Milk also, which used to be the holy grail, it's so contaminated. Right?
There may be
And
hormones
there
in
could be
milk.
hormones in them, so it's all kicking in much faster.
And what they are watching.
What they're watching, look at OTT, you've got little children spewing adult-like dialogues,
Doing makeup videos.
doing makeup, and reels. You've got little children doing makeup reels, and look at the moves, the dances, the songs, and children are mouthing those songs, emulating.
So
those
it's all
steps.
having an effect on them where
Yes.
this is becoming a part of their life.
Yes. The entire thought process.
Thought process is weird towards that. Okay. Right. So, Sheetal, just when a child is getting ready to prepare for high school, crucial years, that's the time when their thoughts start veering. It's a huge challenge for parents.
I completely agree. What happens is that this definitely is a phase. But the thing is that your high school years, the phase will pass, but so will the years.
So
Nothing is going to come back.
It's not going to come back. So you have to manage.
You have to take action right there.
That's the crucial part.
Yes.
So therefore, what can I as a parent do?
First and foremost, keep all channels of communication open. Talk to your child. If the child should feel the comfort of coming and telling you that, hey ma, hey dad, I really like that boy, or I like that girl. Identify what do you like, right? What do you like about the boy or the girl? Chances are that at this stage they are more physical in their thought process, but slowly you get into the nature, the mindset, the thoughts. So veer the child towards that I like somebody because that somebody is good in communication or whatever. So get the physicality out of it. Also, don't give too much attention. Give it only that much attention to address it at that point in time. But if you go on and on about it, if you're giving so much attention, the thought is gathering that much of traction, and the child enjoys
the attention.
Yes,
They're
yes,
getting at
yes.
home over the
yes
subject.
yes.
Right.
You can't brush it off also. It's a very fine line that you need to walk on. You can't brush it aside also, and at the same time not give it too much attention.
And how do you pull a child into managing their schedule, managing their academics, managing the discipline of studies?
So one thing that I've consistently believed in is that A, walk the talk. B, watch what your child is watching, read what your child is reading. Create a structure at home. Get the child back into what needs to be done. Have a conversation. As I said, that the phase will pass, but the time will also pass. Will he or she be able to roll back the time and go back to grade 8, go back to grade 9 or 10 and understand the portion or understand the curriculum, do the curriculum justice? You cannot go back, right? Phase will pass, time will also pass. So get the child back into that entire framework of channelizing the child's thoughts into more constructive manner. Ideal mind is a devil's workshop, cliched but true. See to it that there is a set pattern. Don't overcrowd the pattern, but see to it that there is a set pattern. Talk to your child, very important.
There has to be some sort of enforcement of a schedule and a discipline.
It has to be.
Tough at this age, no, Sheetal?
It is. I'm old school. But yes, discipline has to be there. Monitoring has to be there. And also the comfort of being able to talk to you also. And it's not only about the marks. We are not creating the schedule because it's only about the marks. It's about every grade has certain quantum of knowledge that you need to absorb so that you can get into the next grade.
So you're not compromising on your foundations.
Yes, that is extremely important. So, पहले crushes होते थे in teens. Now crushes are happening in grade 3 and 4. Children are actually linking children to the child of the other gender at as young as 3 and 4. That is where we need to talk to our children that we are all the same, we are all friends. There could be a special friend who you enjoy talking to. Could be of the same gender, could not be of the same gender. So don't give too much importance to
the topic. Don't overreact.
Yes. Don't go ballistic on it and drop dead and faint and hi toba, kya ho gaya,
right.
Don't overreact on that. हमारे ज़माने में ऐसे नहीं होता था. Don't get into that.
Correct. So Sheetal, what is privacy in this context? What kind of privacy should my child be allowed?
So, privacy is one part of the story. Transparency, we should be focusing on transparency.
So there's a balance there.
Yes, it's very important for you as a parent to be transparent, and for the child also. It's a two-way route. It's not
so that there is trust.
Yeah, the trust has to be there. And policing, I will not advocate policing. Helicopters, see what my child is doing all the time. Have your binoculars, invisible binoculars on, and see where my child is going. No, you should know where your child is going, and the child should be truthful enough to tell you. And that will happen only if you are giving that space to the child. See, where my child is going is not because I want to follow my child. It's not because I want to constantly police the child. But I should know where to reach out to my child. Yeah, it's a safety net that I need to create around my child. If my child needs me, I should know where to go. If I need, any of us could need each other, right? And both of us should know where to reach out to. So it's more about transparency than anything else.
Right. So we should not look at it as from a privacy lens, or whether there is a breach of privacy. We should look at it more from a lens of transparency, so that we are able to respond to the child
Yes.
should the child need me.
Correct. Right. Yeah. So knocking at the door and entering the child's room, that is good manners, right? But if the room is locked endlessly and you're knocking and still no one is responding,
Then you need to find out what is the child doing in the room.
Yes.
Sheetal, what are the red flags that we should look out for?
Hiding the truth,
Lying.
lying, being very evasive. Where are you going? With whom are you going? What time are you going to come back? What am I reading? Being very evasive about everything. That is something, and instinctively one does come to know.
That's true. As a parent,
Yeah, you do come to know change in behavior. When there is something that the child wants to hide from you, the child will not spend enough time with you, क्योंकि ज़्यादा बोल दिया तो सच निकल आएगा types, So you will find that the child is trying to not make eye contact, not be in the same space as you. That's when you need to be a little more alert
and watchful.
Find out from the child, is there something that I can do to help you? I'm there if you're ready to talk to me. Those kind of things.
So lying and evasiveness are red flags.
Yes.
So, summing up, parents, let hormones do their job, you do yours. Thank you so much, Sheetal. We are at the end of this episode. Parents, if you liked it, do subscribe and follow us on our Instagram handle, Brainology1. And Sheetal, oh yes,
please go and get this book for your home library, A Kid's Guide to Money. 10 amazing stories, ghost stories set in a library. Enjoy it and come back for more.
Right. All right. Bye-bye. Keep hustling.